Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flo-Cal Faceoff, a two-day online event on HorseTourneys.com. My name is Bill Downes, your host for the next couple of hours as we cover the last four races from Santa Anita, which are the last four races in this two-day contest. And I'm joined by NHC Hall of Famer Chris Larmey. Chris, how are you?
I'm great. I mean, I'm ready to rock and roll. We've got a tight leaderboard, $500,000 on the line, some exciting racing from Santa Anita. I'm just really looking forward to having a discussion about it and seeing what comes out in the end.
Yeah, before we get to the leaderboard and discuss the first contest race that we're going to cover on this webcast, just an overview of the Flo-Cal Faceoff two-day tournament online prize pool, $511,410. The winner's going to get $183,600. Second place, $73,440, and it goes all the way down to 28th. This is the first leg of the HorseTourneys.com Tourney Triple. The second leg is April 7th and 8th, the Players' Championship. And leg number 3 is a Spa and Surf Showdown in early August, which is, of course, Del Mar and Saratoga-centric contest. If you win this contest today, the Flo-Cal Faceoff, and then you go on to win one of those other two legs, you'll receive a $1 million bonus for taking down two of the three legs. And if you're lucky enough and skillful enough to take down all three legs, you'll receive a $2 million bonus. There's also points that are given to the top finishers in all three contests, and there's chances to get a BC, a Breeders' Cup betting challenge spot, as well as an NHC spot if you're the winner of that. But right now, we have a very tightly grouped leaderboard. Let's take a look at the leaderboard here in the Flo-Cal Faceoff. And right now it's David Wolf, who does have a little bit of a lead at $250.70. Greg Kingma is second at $232.20. And then after that, very tightly knit George Bosch right behind Greg, and Alexa Zepp was able to move up a few spots by playing a pretty chalky horse in the last race at Santa Anita. But we've got some pretty good betting races, Chris, don't you think, for the final four races?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. There's a few of them that maybe aren't quite as exciting as others, but we definitely end on a wide open race. So I don't know if any lead will be safe going into that final race. And I think there'll be quite a few players that will have an opportunity to win, if depending on the outcome of that last race, unless something really unexpected happens here in the next few.
We got about 11 minutes to race number 6 from Santa Anita. Let's go over a few of the price horses on day number 2. It was very chalky early on, as Chris and I were talking before we went on air. But then things started to percolate a little bit. The 9th at Gulfstream Park, a horse by the name of Dryfaros, off the long layoff for trainer Terry Pompey, paid $20.20 to win, $6.80 to place. Then at Santa Anita, the second race, Flat Out Joy for trainer Chuck Treese, paid $20.40 to win, $7.40 to place. And then the fourth at Santa Anita, we had a mare by the name of Agree to Settle for Carla Gaines, and that mare paid $24.20 and $7. She was the highest priced horse so far on day 2, and 9 of the top 11 from when I saw the update in the leaderboard had that mare in that fourth race. This shows you it's getting down to the nitty gritty, Chris. And if you have, there's a long shot to be had, you better have it. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, that's what happens when the leaderboard is sort of compact like this. Just one horse can really flip things. So it'll be interesting to see what strategy some of the people near the top employ, getting into these last few races, because, this next race, for example, we're going to have a heavy favorite. And my guess is many of the players are, certainly going to look beyond that horse, but you never know. Somebody at the top might be willing to, take a horse at below even money and just, pick up a few bucks that might come in really handy at the very end. So we'll see how they play it. But this race, has one of those standout Bob Baffert 3-year-olds. And you got to decide, are you going to try to beat that one or not? In a contest, probably most people will say yes. And then the second question is, okay, well, who are you going to try to beat that horse with?
Yeah, we got 384 entrants in the Flo-Cal Faceoff, and I'm guessing probably about 382, and maybe all 884 are going to try and beat this favorite, because even though it might be a horse that people like to single in regular wagering and contest play, when you're this deep into the contest and you're not on the first page of the leaderboard, and even if you are, there's a bit of a gap there from first to second. I don't see too many people using the 2 Harlow cap in this 6 at Santa Anita.
Yeah, not now. Now, if this were the last race, you might see, somebody in third trying to take that horse to move into second because, they win an extra $75,000 or something. But at this point in the contest, I totally agree with you. I'll be very surprised to see anybody on the first page of that leaderboard pick the 2-horse Harlow cap. And like you said, probably anywhere on the leaderboard. So that doesn't necessarily help them pick the winner. If he does get beat, they still got to come up with the winner. So we can talk about that because there are some other horses in here that, you certainly can make a case for.
Absolutely, and we'll do that in just a second. Just want to go over at least the top 5. You mentioned the prize money: $183,600 for first, $73,440 for second, $36,720 for third, $27,540 for fourth, and $22,950 for fifth. And it goes down all the way back to 28th place. So let's dive into this 6th race. We got a field of 8 in here, and we've been talking about the favorites, Harlow cap. I guess let's get him out of the way. Do you think, just from any sort of standpoint, he's a good favorite, if you will, or one that you think you could beat, even though everyone's going to probably try and beat him?
Well, I do think certainly the trainer, and his last race was better than it looks, but he doesn't have numbers that lay over the field. I don't think he necessarily gets the right pace set up in here either. There's several other very quick horses, I think, that will be battling for the lead. And I don't think the track is particularly speed favoring. So, there's no reason, I think, other than the reputation of the trainer, really, that this horse should be, probably going off at 4-5 or 3-5. So I even from a betting standpoint, I think this is a vulnerable favorite. Not that it can't win; it's the most likely winner. But I wouldn't hesitate to try to play against it.
Yeah, and I think there are a few in here that I could potentially endorse. And Richard Mandela's got a colt in here, Son of Quality Road, the 5-horse Yellow Brick, as the horse is coming on the track for the 6th race at Santa Anita. And Mandela doesn't usually crank up his first-time starters too often, and this guy finished a pretty good third in a sprint, bred to go 2 turns. Right now is at 7-2 on the board, but Yellow Brick, I thought, had a pretty good chance in this race. What were your thoughts on this colt?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you said. The only thing I don't like so much is the price isn't that great.
Right.
But I do think that if you want to beat the Baffert horse, you probably want to play a horse that's not going to be battling for the early lead, because the Baffert horse is probably going to bottom out these speed horses. And so this one, probably can set off the pace. It is first time routing, but it is bred to do that. It does have a good trainer and a good rider. So certainly a logical alternative, and one I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the players near the top of the leaderboard choose.
Well, you mentioned someone that comes from a little bit off the pace. Why don't we talk about the 1-horse Flat On for Peter Urton? Another trainer does usually crank horses early on, and this horse took a step forward in his second career start, which was his first start around 2 turns. He added blinkers in that second race and finished a good third. Yes, he finished a couple lengths behind Harlow cap, but we're talking about 3-year-olds. We're talking about horses that are improving by leaps and bounds during their early part of their career. And I thought Flat On might be a horse at 7-1 that I might gravitate to if I was in this contest.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. I think a really important thing to bring up with that horse is it was sort of hung wide on both turns last time. So I thought it was better than it looked, even though it was beaten a couple lengths by the favorite, and draws the rail this time. So Drayden Van Dyke, not my favorite rider, but if he stays on the rail and can get a clean trip, that horse, I could see him turning the tables on the favorite. And 7-1 on the board right now, you'll probably get about that at post time. That's another one I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of the players use.
And there's a look at Pete in the paddock at Santa Anita. The 7-horse Navy Man is one that I didn't know what to do with. Went off as the beaten favorite last time out in his first start going around 2 turns. Kind of left the rail open. He had a little bit of traffic issues in the early going. Let Harlow Cap get the lead when he was shut off going around that first turn. Navy Man adding blinkers, second route. What did you think of Navy Man?
I agree with everything you said. I kind of like everything about the horse. It's just I see him being forwardly placed, and I'm going to try to be. I'm a little against the horses that are going to be trying to outgun the favorite early. I'd rather have a horse sitting back, letting others do the dirty work, and try to pick up the pieces late. So, if he could somehow get that kind of a trip, no reason why he couldn't win. But I'm a little bit concerned about where he'll be placed early.
We've got about 4 minutes now 3 minutes to race number 6 at Santa Anita. We've got 4 more races left to go in the Flo-Cal Faceoff, and as we get down to the money time, if you will, George, our man David Wolf has the lead with $250.70 so far in the earnings column. Greg Kigma is second at $232.20. George Bosch third at $231.20, and Alexa Zepp in fourth at $221.50. Now we mentioned Baffert, and one of the old handicapping angles I always remember when I was out in Southern California is the other Baffert horse. Now this one doesn't have any really gaudy credentials or anything like that, but Baffert's got 2 in here, and the other one is a 6-horse Tex the Legend, making his first start around 2 turns, and a son of Justify out of a Tappet mare. Any thoughts, any good things to say about Tex the Legend?
Well, just that he is the other Baffert, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him win. I just don't know what to do with that one. The horse is 11-1 right now, so I couldn't talk people out of playing it. I don't have anything super positive or negative to say on that one. I'm not quite sure why it's in this race, but like you said, the other Baffert, we've seen that happen. We've seen that play out before, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him win. That's not where I would go, but I wouldn't talk anybody out of it.
What about the 3 Tiz Talk, who didn't get much action in his debut for trainer Doug O'Meal, but does have a little bit of route breeding by Tiz now out of an AP Indy mare. Kind of ran evenly in the stretch, so it seemed to be a pretty fast race, even though he finished a distant 5th. But he's one I thought that potentially could improve around 2 turns for the first time. You get Frankie Dettori as well. At least that's what I have in my PPs, and he's 11-1. He's going to be very popular with quite a few of our handicappers, I believe.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's really bred to like the distance by Tiz now out of an AP mare. So I think that last was just a prep. He's a homebred for Calumet, and he may still need one that will need a little bit more racing to hit his best stride. But if things set up like they might in here, there's no reason why that one couldn't win. So at 11-1 right now, or 10-1, 11-1. I could see playing that horse, and like you said, I expect to see the 3 show up on that leaderboard when we refresh it after the race starts on quite a few.
So yes, as we get closer and closer to race number 6, not only are the players playing for overall money, they're playing for day 2 money. And day 2, the winner gets, I think it's a $12,750 if I'm not mistaken. I got it here somewhere. So yes, $12,750 for first. And there's Paul Sherman, my man Paul Sherman, doing quite well on day number 2. We'll talk probably more about that as we get closer to the end of our contest. So horses are still behind the gate. Still got a little bit of time here, Chris. So strategy wise, we're going to see a lot of people taking shots against the favorite, and we'll see how many will go with the second favorite. But what would be your top two in this race from a contest perspective?
Yeah, I think Flat On is one that I could lean on as a mid-priced horse that I think a lot of players will go with. I think that's the one horse. The 3-horse Tiz Talk, little longer price, I think makes sense. And one we haven't touched on, but I'd like just to mention is the 8-horse Quincy Market.
All right,
it's another
50-1.
Another second-time starter, really bred to run long, and, kind of had a decent prep. That horse could improve quite a bit. And like I said, I'm thinking one possible scenario here is that the Baffert horse bottoms out the speed, doesn't quite hang on, and somebody can pick up the pieces, and maybe it could be that 8 Quincy Market. And, we're at the point in the contest where a lot of players are going to start going for prices. And so farther down the leaderboard, I expect to see a lot of 8s, but I think he's not a hopeless long shot at 50-1. I do think you could make a case for him. He's definitely one of the longer, less likely winners, but not impossible, the 8-horse.
But Quincy Market would be the first cap horse in this 2-day contest. We didn't have any cap horses. What I mean by cap, there's a limit on the win price and the place price. Standard cap usually of 20-1 and 10-1, so $42 and $22. And that would exceed it by a whole bunch as they are loading up for this 6th race. We'll be covering races 6, 7, 8, and 9. And as the race is going off, we'll update the leaderboard, see where everyone is going to go at in this 6th race, and we'll see if anyone plays the favorite or if anyone plays Yellow Brick, the second choice in the race, as the field still loading up for race number 6. You are listening to the Flo-Cal Faceoff, a 2-day online horse racing handicapping tournament on HorseTourneys.com. And this is a big money tournament, and it's a lot of money on the line, over $183,000 for the winner. And we'll see how this maiden race goes, race number 6 at Santa Anita, as still got a couple more left to load. They're young horses, still learning quite a bit. Something to be expected with these young horses.
Yeah, it's a 3-horse is acting up a little bit. Tiz Talk, one we mentioned, making its second start. But it looks like they finally got him into the gate. It'll be interesting to see if anybody goes with the heavy favorite near the top of the leaderboard. I don't think they will, but we might see some go on the 5 Yellow Brick. They might be willing to move up a little bit because that horse is at a decent price. But it'll be interesting. It's always fun just to see, what strategy the players employ in these late races.
No doubt about it. Looks like we got one more left to load. That's the big price horse, the 8 Quincy Market.
Who's also acting up.
Always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But update on the odds.
I was going to say they geld these horses for a reason a lot of times.
Update on the odds, I guess. Well, we have a second. Harlow Cap's even money. Yellow Brick's at 7-2, 5-1 on the one, Flat On, and 6-1 on the other Baffert, that 6-horse Texas Legend, and they're off. Not the best start in the world for, I think, the 5-horse as they battle out for the front end. And
the favorite got the lead.
There you go. So we'll see. We'll test your theory on that. Top 2 in the standings go with Flat On, David Wolf and Greg Kingma. George Bosch and Alexa Zepp both go with the other Baffert horse, the 6 Texas Legend, Navy Man, the 7, and I don't see too many people using that favorite at all in this 6th race as they go up the backstretch, and not the fastest fractions in the world, and the favorite is the one to catch, Harlow Cap.
Yeah, and not surprising, the players are kind of gravitating towards that 1 and the 6 and the 5, which we kind of talked about. And all of those horses are in contention right now, but the 2 has kind of had everything its own way, so they better start moving or it could be over early.
Yeah. So the 4 Vegas Burner, who is I didn't think it would be off the pace. He's all in as Harlow Cap seems to be shrugging off of the 2, and I don't see anyone really making a huge move from the back. The 5
Yellow Brick, the 5
Yellow Brick,
looks like,
yep.
yeah.
Yep, Yellow Brick is up in the second and about 3 lengths behind, but Harlow Cap, the even money favorite, has the lead, and Yellow Brick is chasing in vain in second, and it's going to be the chalk in here, the 2 Harlow Cap in this 6 race, and not much is going to happen on the leaderboard, Chris, with this one, as like I said, the only person in the top 10 that used Yellow Brick, Michael Somich, in 8th place, and will actually move up, believe it or not, because no one else above him had any of the top 2. He'll actually move up quite a bit because he was in 8th place at $216, and Bill Shenvert was in 5th place at $216.90. So just like we saw with Alexa Zepp moving up quite a bit, just with a relatively chalk type horse. Same thing with Michael Somich getting Yellow Brick to finish second in that 6 race of Santa Anita, but not a whole lot of drama on the leaderboard with the race 6.
No, and Paul Sherman, who's pretty crafty contest player, he picked Yellow Brick too. So, and he's only a couple dollars behind Michael Somich, so he's going to move up quite a few spots, even though he went with the chalk. So a little bit early to be doing that, I think, in here. It might come back to, it won't come back to haunt them because they actually cashed something, but not surprising. Bob Baffert horse, 3-year-old winning off the screen. We've seen that before. Now he's got another horse in his Derby stable. Hurrah, hurrah. Let's move on to the next race.
Yep, it tends to be that way with Baffert out there at Santa Anita. But, just looking at him, he did everything right finally in his 3rd start. And obviously just a maiden race. Will be interesting to see where Baffert places Harlow Cap next time out. Could be anywhere. Could be in Southern California. Could be out there at Oaklawn Park where he likes to go as well. But Harlow Cap, an easy winner, now official in this 6 race. And we'll have prices. There they are, $420 to win on Harlow Cap, $280 to place. No one really played that one. And then $560 to place on Yellow Brick. So that was not the worst place price in the world for the second choice in the wagering. But like we said, with Michael Somich, who is in 8th place, he's the only one that will really move up a little bit. And as we do update the leaderboard, he is now up into 4th place at $221.60. David Wolf is first, $250.70. Greg Kigma still in second. George Bosch in third at $231.20. Got about 21 minutes to race number 7 from Santa Anita. We're going to throw it to an interview right now that Chris did with the 2022 Tourney Triple winner on HorseTourneys.com, Albion Benton.
Hello, I'm here with Albion Benton, also known as AJ, who was the Tourney Triple champion in 2023 on Horse Tourneys. He had good finishes in all 3 of the contests, but his best finish was in this contest, the Flo-Cal contest, where he finished 10th. And we thought, given his tournament success, we might want to try to pick his brain a little bit, kind of understand how he approaches the contests and what some of his strategies are, and maybe some things that some of the listeners could pick up to improve their contest play. So welcome, AJ, and congratulations on your big finish last year.
Thank you very, very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thought I'd start out with just asking you, what's your kind of overall approach and strategy to contests, and in particular, maybe how you'd contrast that with the way you prepare and play on a regular basis, just betting the horses?
Well, usually for me, I give myself a wide spectrum, right? So I want to put myself between the $80 range to $160 range in constructing my tickets. I figure if I can run between 80 and 160, I'm going to be in with a shot in most tournaments. And if you're basing it on all the odds, you just add them all up and it'll sort of give you a gauge of where you could possibly go.
Now, would that be in like a 12 race contest? Is that what you're talking about here?
Yeah. In a 12 race contest, that's sort of the gist of it. Yeah. I try to rank median 160.
So for this Flo-Cal contest, and we've already talked a little bit about the format earlier in the show, but we're talking about more like 35 or 40 races that you're going to have to play because all the races are mandatory. So do you have like a target for this contest in particular?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's between 95 and 120. If I can get between 95 and 120, I feel like I got a shot to win it.
And is that on for each day, you mean?
For each day, yeah.
Okay, right. So like your tournament total, anything over 200 kind of puts you in the mix, and closer to 250 maybe would win it. Is that sort of what you're thinking?
Yeah, because there's so many variables, and it could go either way. You could go to 200, it could go to 280. So there's wiggle room either way. And obviously in the later races, you can sort of try and catch up if you find races where there's obviously chaos in those races.
So before we get to that part, because I'm going to ask you about that question, just heading into the contest to get to that total of 200 to 250, what's your approach? Do you focus on longer price horses, mid price horses? I mean, what is it that you're kind of your strategy, knowing that you have to play every race in this format?
Well, I like to float between 5 to 1 and 99 to 1. If I can make a case for a horse, then I'm going to use them.
So you're not reluctant to go for a 99 to 1 shot, even though there's a cap, if you like the horse.
No, the funny thing was when you guys did it in 2020 or 2021, there was a 99 to 1 shot that won. He was my alternate, believe it or not, that day.
Oh, that's the ones that hurt. What could have been.
Yeah, crazy.
All right, so let's break it down a little bit, because I like to think about contests sort of using a chess analogy. And you sort of have your opening, which is I consider like the first third of the contest, where your objective is really to try to position yourself to implement whatever strategy you plan to employ going in. And then in the mid game, you kind of, based on how the opening went, you sort of execute the strategy. And in the end game, you kind of have to be flexible, and based on, the pieces on the board and the position on the board, you may have to make some adjustments to your initial strategy and, to try to maximize your chances of winning depending on where you're at that point. So let's kind of walk through each piece and how you approach it. So we're at the beginning, the opening. What are you doing, from a strategy pick standpoint early on?
So I'm going to pick the horse that I think has the best opportunity to win. And it could be, 5 to 1 shot or a 20 to 1 shot. For me, it's one of those things where if I like a 20 to 1 and I think that he's not being respected, I'm going to take him.
All right. What about the other end of the spectrum? Say there's a horse you really liked, it's even money. Are you going to play that? Or are you going to look? You would? Okay. So in this format early on, at least, you'll take that short price if you really like the horse.
Yeah. I try to look for vulnerable favorites. So you have to give me reasons why you're vulnerable. So what causes you to win a race, right? So you are either pace dependent, or you are the pace, or you can have something sort of in the middle. So if you're a speed horse that likes to go to the front, if you're going to have company, the likelihood of you winning the race is very unlikely if there's a horse that's faster than you, because usually fast horses who go out there, faster horses get in front of them. They usually, if they don't get the lead, they usually don't win. Same thing as closers. If there's races where there's no pace at all and you let the speed go, they might just walk the dog all the way around the track. And obviously they're horses I can pitch.
All right, so let's move on now. We're past the opening and we're in the middle part of the contest, and you're trying to execute your strategy. Does anything change, or are you pretty much the same as you were early on?
Depending on how far back, I might move more towards the mid-range and just pitch favorites and hopefully get horses that can run second.
So if you're off to a slow start, you might start adjusting a little bit, leaning towards bigger prices, but you're not in panic mode yet.
No, I just don't. As long as I'm within range, we'll say $30, $40, $50. That's usually, I'm totally fine with it.
All right, so we move on to the end game. Now, at this point, you're probably in contention or you're not. So what sort of adjustments do you make in either, if you're, I'll say, let's look at three things. A, you're sort of far back, what adjustments you're going to make. B, you're in contention, but, you're maybe the top 20. And then C, you're right on the lead or near the lead. How are you going to play differently, if at all, in those three positions at the end?
All right. So if I'm in the back, I'm going to try and push with horses that are longer odd horses to try and move up, and maybe I get a little bit of luck and I get into contention. Maybe take a chance on a horse that I normally wouldn't under normal circumstances. Maybe I get lucky. If I'm mid-pack or in the 20s, I'm playing to win it. So, if I like a horse, that's 5-1, 8-1, 10-1, 12-1, I'm going to use it. And if I'm on the lead or near it, I'm going to still take that horse because it's a protection thing now. Like when do you start to protect? 3 out, 4 out, 5 out, 6 out, 7 out, 2 out. You know what I mean? It's just a protection thing. And I learned last year when I was in second, I get run over by a big horse, and that won't happen again. I may not have the horse, but I'm not going to let that happen to me again because I like the horse. I just didn't like the horse enough to play it.
So it sounds like you're kind of in the super aggressive mode if you're far back, which is kind of a given. In the middle part, you're going to stay aggressive, and even near the top, you're going to try to stay aggressive, at least as long as you can, because knowing that since everybody's playing every race in this format, if a price horse does come in, probably some of the people close to you farther down the leaderboard are going to vault past you if that horse comes in. Is that kind of what you mean by defensively?
Yeah, exactly. So you might as well move up with the rest of the board.
All right, so let's get to the very nitty gritty, and let's say you're sitting on the lead with, let's go to the final race because that's when it gets the most interesting in terms of the game theory. So you're on the lead, and you have somebody that's just within, if the favorite comes in, he could pass you up if he has it and you don't. But nobody else could. But there's other people that are below him that certainly could pass you up with longer priced horses. How are you going to play that? Are you going to play that favorite and block him if you like it? Or are you going to assume that he's smart enough not to play the favorite, knowing he could be blocked, and you're going to go with something else? Or are you going to be even more defensive, trying to block others? And of course, it depends on your opinion of the horse in the race, but how do you approach that as the leader?
So if I like the favorite, I'm probably going to take him. If he's and just fold him off, and block with him.
All right. Let's assume that you didn't like the favorite. So are you then you're going to go beyond that, even though if the favorite comes in, he could pass you up. If there's a horse you like better, you're going to go with that, go with your instinct and opinion of the race?
Yeah, go with your gut.
All right.
No doubt.
Now, what about if you're the person in second in that same situation? What are you going to do? Are you going to play the favorite knowing you could be blocked, or are you going to try to go somewhere else?
I think for me, I'd probably go somewhere else just because I'm assuming I'm going to get blocked.
So given your success in this contest last year, what do you think are the main reasons that you've had that success? What are the main things that you do you think that have helped you be successful last year in the three contests?
I would say for me, I spend a lot of time. I watch a lot of replays. I work 2 jobs, so it's very, very tough. But I always give myself a lot of time going into these tournaments. So usually I give myself a 9 to 12 hour window where I can handicap all the races, then go to race replays to review everything. And then, I look at the pedigree reports and everything like that to see if I can find anything in there that I like.
So it sounds like you do your homework, is what you're saying. You try to be prepared.
Oh, absolutely. Same thing in any event that I play in. They're just hanging out too much money, and I want to give myself the best opportunity to be successful.
So given that, what are some lessons learned, some things you've learned that you've changed that you think might have made you, a better player that might help others that might be making the same mistakes that you've made in the past?
I believe pace is crucial. If you don't get the pace right, you're most likely not going to find the winner. Pace is so important because if you can imagine the race, whatever it is, say you think it's a fast pace and then it's not, and the horse goes wire to wire, you're just gauging pace. So you're making an educated guess. So the more times you guess right, the more likelihood you're going to put yourself in a position to win with those horses that you choose. Also, replays are really, really important. I believe seeing the horses and seeing their action and watching them going around the track and how many lengths they lose, and having a jockey just bury them behind horses and just not asking them for much is curious to me. I've seen it a lot.
So to sum up, do your homework, watch the replays, and pay attention to the pace.
Absolutely. More likely than any other thing, because pace is the difference between winning and losing always. It always will be too, I believe.
And you can't argue with the results AJ got last year. He had 3 good finishes, including the top 10 in the Flo-Cal last year, and that made him the Tourney Triple champion, and he won a whole suite of prizes, including, I think, a BC spot, NHC spot. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see AJ on the leaderboard again. And we wish you luck, and not only in this contest, but in all your contest play and in the other Tourney Triple contests later on in the year. So thank you, AJ, for joining us. Really appreciate it, and good luck.
Thanks, Chris. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for the interview, and thanks for letting me have the time to just talk horses. Greatest thing I can ever do.
Thanks so much to Albie and Benton for doing that interview with Chris. And we've got about 6 minutes to race number 7 in the Flo-Cal Faceoff. We got 37 races down, and now 3 to go in this contest. The 7th race is a starter allowance race at Santa Anita. No scratches in this race. And we do have a favorite in this race of the 6-horse Daniel's Magic. And Chris and I were talking off air, and Chris, you're not that high on Daniel's Magic, and if he's getting played, I know you're really not high on him, because you're going to get no price with him. 3-1 in the morning line, currently at 9-5.
Yeah, I have nothing against the horse. It's a nice horse. It's just the trainer has 1 win in 2 years, and that's with a lot of tries, and that was with this horse. So that's the one saving grace. But on a short price favorite and what I think looks like a wide open race, I would definitely go elsewhere, and I have a feeling most of the players in the contest will as well.
Yeah. Second choice of the line, not getting any money at all. And John White's morning line put Conch Daddy at 5-2 right now at 6-1. And just glancing at some of the will pays, he wasn't even the top 3 or so in the pick 3 will pays, and he wasn't even in the top 4 or so in the double will pay. So he's going to be a price. Conch Daddy, he's won his last 2, but he's gotten clear leads in both of those 2 races. And I guess the question is he controlling speed, or is he going to get pressure from someone else in this race to set it up for a stalker or closer?
There's not a lot of speed in this race, so the horse is dangerous in that regard. I mean, the only other real speed is on the outside, the 7 horse, and there's a question mark with that horse on whether or not it will handle the turf. If it does, then it may show speed and either press Conch Daddy or who knows, maybe even take the lead. But if the horse doesn't like the turf, Conch Daddy may find himself on the lead, and could repeat that last effort, which was a winning one. So I mean, I certainly a contender. And the price is okay. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him get played, right? Because speed on the turf is a little farther this time, going 6 furlongs. So if you look at his PPs, he's never got it done at this distance. At 6 furlongs or longer, he tends to spit the bit. So I'd be a little hesitant to play that one, but speed's always dangerous.
Yeah, last time out, Los Al had a wide post and made a very early move, and then basically was eased in that race. So not a surprise to see Seville Road dropping back in distance off a 2-turn race back into a sprint. But as you mentioned, making his turf debut by Quality Road out of a Malibu Moon mare. And he hasn't gotten off to good starts in his last couple of races, which is something I don't like to see either. It seems to be more of a pattern as opposed to a one-off bad incident, if you will. The one horse, Forgiving Spirits, is a horse I like a whole bunch. Just like Seville Road is dropping back from a route to a sprint, and his last sprint race at Del Mar didn't have the best trip in the world. He was steadied and bumped, lost position, and then he got going got room a little too late, passed a couple horses, showed some good energy in his last turf sprint race. What are your thoughts on Forgiving Spirit? You're as high as I am on this one.
I'd say probably that's the most likely winner, not by a lot, but by a little bit. I do agree, the cutback will help. That did have trouble at 5 furlongs. At this trip, 6 furlongs on the turf at Santa Anita, it won last time. It draws the rail. Yeah, it could get a really nice trip just up near the lead. And if Conch Daddy does spit the bit late, like I mentioned, that horse does typically at anything beyond 5.5 furlongs, Forgiving Spirit might be the one to inherit the lead and finish off the race. So, that horse is at a decent price. They're all kind of about the same price in here. Yeah. I would expect to see a lot of players on the one. Forgiving Spirit horse makes a lot of sense.
King Apollo the 4, first-time gelding, one of my favorite handicapping angles. They seem to win their fair share of races, these first-time geldings. Winner 2 back and been on the shelf since, and now comes back as a first-time gelding. Does have a win at the distance at Santa Anita in that win 2 back. And seems like he'll get a pretty good trip in here, but behind the speed, but not be that far back. King Apollo, trained by Kristen Mulhall, not great with long layoff horses. I guess that would be the negative I would have with King Apollo, but he'd be one I'd be taking a look at as well.
Yeah, I mean, if he fires, there's no reason to think he's not a better horse now than he was 8 or 10 months ago. And he, like you said, he has a win on the trip at this trip on this surface. So, it's all about whether that horse is ready to fire off the layoff. It's kind of hard to tell based on the, training stats and workouts. I mean, it was sort of neutral, but I wouldn't be surprised to see people on that horse. It's kind of like we've got a 4-1, 6-1, 6-1, 7-1, 6-1 on the board, and you can kind of make an equal case for all of those, and he's one of them.
Yeah, let's mention Statland as the horse is getting ready to get behind the gate. We've still got a little bit of time here, but Statland has been running in some turf route races. Last turf sprint was in the worst race of the world at Del Mar. In a race he finished right behind Daniel's Magic, who's the favorite, and you get a nice price at 6-1.
Yeah, cutting back, the big concern with him will be there isn't a lot of speed, so it's a little tough to make up ground in these turf sprints unless you've got a pretty good setup. But if he can get the trip and there's, a little bit of more pace pressure than we anticipate, he would not be a shocker.
Well, let's take a look at, we've gone over the leaderboard, but there's day money for day 2. And right now, Paul Sherman is in the lead with $135.80 in day 2 bankroll. Justin, who's quite famous on Twitter, is in second, and Nick is in third. But that's a look at the day 2 leaderboard. And as I mentioned, for first place on day 2, $12,750. So nothing to sneeze at. We'll keep you updated on that as well. And then going back to the regular leaderboard, David Wolf has the lead, $250.70. I'm guessing, once again, the favorite's going to kind of be ignored in here unless you just really love it. And even then, maybe somebody will take, just like we've seen with Michael, who's in 4th place, jumped up quite a bit with using a logical horse. But in terms of trying to make a big jump in the leaderboard, you're going to have to try one of these other horses. So for me, I like the 1 and 4 for me, Chris, probably for contest strategy. Who do you like in the top 2, I guess?
Well, the one we didn't mention is the long shot, the 5.
All right.
And a lot of people will be on that horse because a lot of people need a long shot.
Yep.
This horse hasn't been on the turf, but it's got some good dirt form. It's another one coming off the layoff. And, if it takes to the turf and it fires off the bench, it's got numbers that could win. So I would expect to see a lot of 5s on there for people who are, trying to make a big move. But this is one where any of them could win it. So it'll be real interesting to see where the players land. I think we'll see all kinds of numbers up there in the leaderboard when we refresh.
It looks like they're all in the gate for the 7th race, and they're off. Looks like a decent start, not the best start in the world for the 4 King Apollo. But as we take a look at the leaderboard and see where everyone went, David Wolf went with Conch Daddy, the 3 horse, who is on the front end. Greg Kingma, second place right now, went with the 1 horse Forgiving Spirit, and George Bosch went with the 4 horse King Apollo. So the top 3 all on different horses. Paul Sherman used Stotland, and Bill Shenvert did go with the favorite Daniel's Magic. But as they traveled the backstretch, the 3 and the 1 are battling for the top spot.
Yeah, the 1 kind of conceded the lead, but then the rider decided I better not let him go. So he got aggressive and went to the lead. Now the question will be, can the 1 sustain that? Now we're going to see the late run. That number 2 horse, Stotland, you mentioned. We've got, who's that in between there?
The 2, I think the 2.
No, it's a 4 horse is the 1 making the run. Yeah.
Yep, 1 and 4.
At King Apollo.
There you go. Forgiving Spirit and King Apollo, 1st and 2nd, from what I could tell. So that was a race I liked quite a bit, and came 1-2 with my top 2. But Forgiving Spirit, the winner, 7-2. I have my OTB, if you will, online. It gives me the payout for the win money, so he'll pay $980 to win, so you get good breakage on Forgiving Spirits. But just to make sure, once again, 1 and 4 in this 7th race from Santa Anita. Yep, there it is, 1, 4, 6, 2, and all we really care about for our contest is the top 2 finishers. And once again, looking at the leaderboard, Greg Kigma did have Forgiving Spirit at a 7-2 winner, and George Bosch got 2nd with King Apollo, and Michael Somich will cut the gap between 1st and 2nd, and will be depending on how the prices pay out, he might be able to jump a spot. No, probably not. Well, no, because he'll get some money for 2nd, and it was a bigger price. But the top 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th all cashing in this 7th race.
Yeah, so which is good from entertainment for us standpoint, because they all close the gap on the leader. So now that leaderboard is going to be really tight. There's not David Wolf is not going to be able to rely on much in the way of protection, because he's not going to have much of a lead there. So it's going to be exciting going into these last 2 races. That those were some good picks. Those were kind of logical plays, both of them, especially the 1.
Yep.
sort of seemed like the most likely winner there, and it ran like it was, and really paid off for George Kingma, because now, I don't know exactly what he's going to end up with, but he'll only be like $4 or $5 behind David Wolf.
No doubt.
And George Bush going to pick up some decent place money, and like you said, Mike Somich and Alexa Zepp. So, and we even had people 8, 9, and 10 all on Forgiving Spirit. So it's going to be fun here in these last 2 races.
Yeah, for the drama perspective, from our perspective, it's pretty good to have lots to talk about in terms of strategy and seeing who's going to choose what in these final 2 races. But there is the official sign, and 980 to win and 440 to place. So what's that? 1420 and 740 for the second spot with King Apollo. So
yeah, $4 now separating the first and second. If we refresh that leaderboard,
yep.
Greg Kingma now really hot on the heels of David Wolf, and George Bosch not that far behind, and Michael Somich not too far behind. They're both a 5-to-1 shot away, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, so we got 2 more races left to go here in the Flo-Cal Faceoff, the final 2 races at Santa Anita. The 8th race at Santa Anita is a filly and mare allowance optional claiming race going 6 furlongs. You do have a scratch of the 6 Mongolian Panthers, so we'll have a field of 7. So it'll be tough for people to come from way off the pace. But like Chris mentioned, leaderboard is tightening up quite a bit, and a field of 7 certainly can produce a lot of action as we get ready for the final 2 races here on the Flo-Cal Faceoff. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back in a few minutes. We'll talk about the 8th race from Santa Anita, the penultimate race in the Flo-Cal Faceoff handicapping contest on HorseTourneys.com. Got about 15 minutes to the 8th race at Santa Anita, the second to last, the penultimate race in the Flo-Cal Faceoff handicapping contest on HorseTourneys.com. 384 entries, going for the top prize of $183,600. Every contest race in this type of contest, all the competitors make a selection, a mythical $2 win and place bet, and whatever they get in terms of the money goes in their bankroll. They can't lose that bankroll in this type of contest. And things are tightening up on the leaderboard. My name is Bill Downes, and I'm joined by Chris Larmey. And we were talking a little bit. It's getting tight, getting some more drama here in this contest. And David Wolf is clinging to the lead with $250.70.
Yeah, it gets interesting now because we are down to 2 races. So this is really where the contest strategy comes into play and some of the game theory. And now you get a horse like we have in here, the 7 horse, who's going to be odds on. And that might actually be a horse that the leaders were going to pay close attention to, because if Greg Kingma played that horse and hit it, and David Wolf didn't hit anything, Greg Kingma would have the lead going into the last race, which is a big advantage in this format. So,
it's quite a bit. You know, that's what's going to make it interesting, is that you just can't ignore the chalk. If you're in the lead, you really got to take a hard look. And then even if you're right, then you got to go in that last race, and that last race is that maiden race where a lot of things can happen. So it might not, things could get really goofy in a hurry in that last race. But we got about 13 minutes to the 8th race from Santa Anita. We mentioned there's a scratch of the 6 Mongolian Panther. And in this race, we've got it looks like a prohibitive favorite of the 7 horse American Lily. Tried the turf for the first time last time out. Didn't do quite so well. Before that, battled for the lead the entire way and just got beat by a neck. Won her first couple of races. Peter Miller, trainee, and American Lily looks like the one to catch in this race. And what are your thoughts on American Lily?
Yeah, I mean, she's a legitimate favorite, and you can kind of toss the last race on the turf. She's never run a bad race on the dirt. She is going to be forwardly placed. There does seem to be quite a bit of speed in here. I mean, the 1 horse, the 2 horse, the 3 horse, all those horses and want to go to the lead. So she might face a little faster pace than she's faced before, but she did draw a nice outside post. So she has a good rider, so he can kind of play the break, and he doesn't have to get caught up in a speed duel. He could even break a little slow and still get good position. So legitimate favorite, but, I don't think she completely lays over the field because of the other speed horses in the race. So after her, there's several others that you could, look at playing, but I do think she's enough of a favorite where we might see the leader or some of the people on that top part of the leaderboard play this horse, including the top person or David Wolf and the second place player, Greg Kingma. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them, because it's really nice. You're right. It's a wide open race, that last race, but it's really nice to be on the lead, because then, they have to pass you. And if the people behind you don't hit, close to you don't hit, then, you can win even if you don't have the winner, or you might have the winner and you can block people with it. So it's a good place to be. It'll be interesting to see how the players play it, because we do have a pretty strong favorite. Maybe not as strong as the Baffert horse we had earlier, but it's kind of definitely, a strong favorite.
Yeah, I'm looking at the doubles and the pick 3 payouts, so the wheel pays, and prohibitive is American Lily in those pools. So I'm thinking that this price of 6 to 5 is going to be about what she's going to be in this race. You mentioned some of the other speed in here. You got a filly, 4-year-old filly with the rail, which is not, I don't think, the best place to be in a hot pace. But in the Las Flores, grade 3 event, she looked like she was done turning for home, but she battled on and held on for a decent second. I'm talking about the 1-horse Manarelli. And, she's a hard-trying filly, gives it her all every time. And like I said, she finished second in a grade 3 race, and she's not going to go off as the favorite, at least from what I see in those will pays.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with her form other than she draws the rail in a race with a lot of speed, including with a really strong favorite outside of her, which is, from a tactical standpoint, probably the worst case for that horse.
Yep.
But if you flip the post positions, I would think I would like the one Manarelli much more than I do, with that one down the rail. But if it can break alertly, then it can overcome that rail post. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some players using that horse. I would probably go a different direction if I'm going to try to beat the favorite, just because I usually don't try to beat the favorite with who's with another horse that's runs the same way, runs the same kind of race. I'm usually looking for someone that's going to do something else to beat the favorite, because it's tough to beat a strong favorite at its game. But, there's a lot of talent there in the one.
The 3-horse Princess Adelie went up to Golden Gate Fields and took the lead out of the starting gate and dusted off a maiden field quite easily. But totally different pace scenario in today's race in her first start against winners. But she showed talent early on in her career, and they get the maiden win, and now they're taking on much tougher competition in this race. I wish it was a little bit easier spot. She's a decent price on the board at 9-1, but this is a race that's loaded with speed, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the negative. She's never been in a race with the kind of pace you'll see in here. It could be that she'll just drop back and run well, but a lot of question marks. You're getting a better price. I'm looking at her in the walking ring, and she's got a lot of equipment. She's got blinkers and a shadow roll, and so maybe she's a little bit, flighty or goofy too. So I don't know. I'd have it. The price isn't bad, but again, inside draw in a speed-filled race, going to see a hotter pace than she's ever seen. That's not my kind of horse.
Yeah, even though I liked her win, this is like a totally different, much tougher race and a much tougher pace scenario. We agree on the 3. We like others in here. I'll give you one that I do like, certainly in my top 2. The 8-horse Ute Your Honor. Vladimir Serin has 2 in here, the other being the 3. But she's been off since Del Mar in that November 13th race. She won a 3-year-old filly, $40,000 claimer, and she won it very nicely. I didn't see the jockey use the riding crop at all in the stretch, so it was basically a hand ride for me. She's been off since then, but that was, I think, one of her, if not her best win in her career so far. And she's drawn to the outside. All the speed will go out. She should be able to get over as well from an outside post. I thought Your Honor had a big shot in here.
Yeah, and you mentioned she's been off for a little while, but she's got a real good string of works, including one 46 and change a few weeks ago. And, I think given that the trainer has a speed horse in here, this horse will sort of be the caboose, and the 3-horse will be on the engine.
Yep.
So we talked about, the possible fast pace. This horse could get a nice setup, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that horse come running at the end. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, some of the players gravitate towards this as sort of the alternative to the speed.
A bit of a price at 8-1, probably my, if not my top pick, my second choice if I was playing this contest. The 5-horse Lasting Love. Yeah, I know it's at low sale. It's just a maiden claiming for $50,000, but I liked how she won that race. She had to wait on the turn, and she came up the rail at low sale in the stretch, which is not normally what you want to do. And she won under a complete hand ride. And yes, it's a giant step up. But this Simon Callahan trainee, I thought showed a lot of talent, and it's not surprising to me to see her that they're taking on a tougher spot. They could probably have gone in some sort of starter allowance race, but they're in this allowance optional claiming race and taking on some very tough fillies like American Lily. But Lasting Love, I thought, did show a lot of promise, even though Hernandez, who was aboard Lasting Love in that win, is on the favorite American Lily. But that's what jockeys want to do. They want to ride probably the shortest price horses in races most of the time. So I'm not going to take that as a complete negative. And you get Tourney aboard Lasting Love. What's your opinion on her?
Yeah, and the rider goes to the bigger barn and the favorite. That sure. I don't think that's a negative at all.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm always like horses with upside. That horse, you don't know what the ceiling is, but you would expect could improve second time starting. And I think a lot of that's a strong angle, especially in contests. I talked about it in some of the segments that we recorded yesterday. So I certainly expect to see some of the players on that horse, and it did come from off the pace again. So I think if you want a price horse, you probably want one to come from off the pace, which is kind of why I like, this is a horse I actually really do like. The first one so far that we've covered, and that's this 4-horse Bowl of Cherries, kind of getting ignored right now. It's 10-1, probably will be higher than that by post time. This horse, it's run a lot, but it's sort of in career best form right now. Second off of layoffs, it's a 2-weight race win streak. It's taken a step up in class, but it consistently finishes off its races here lately, and it could get a really nice setup. And, its speed figures fit in here with the horses. It's not that far off. And if it gets the right setup and the front runners kind of cook each other out, there's no reason why, Bowl of Cherries couldn't win this race at a big price. So to me, that's where I would go if I were in the contest. I would be on Bowl of Cherries. And here's first horse I really kind of like. Now, if I were near the top of the leaderboard, I might start, give some serious thought to that 7-horse American Lily, if I had one of the top few people. But my nature is to be aggressive. So for me, I would be going after Bowl of Cherries as my big price. Or maybe Your Honor, the one that you mentioned, Bill, as your closer that you thought would be your first or second choice. That one makes a lot of sense as a horse from off the pace as well. Not as big a price, but if you're in the top 10 and you're just looking for a $15, $20 horse, that might be the way you'd go with the 8.
Yeah, I like the 5 and the 8 almost the same. So it'd be tough for me to not go with the longer price horse, Lasting Love. And if I was down on the leaderboard, not in the top 20, then you most definitely got to take the highest price horse no matter what, I would think. Who else we did not catch? We didn't mention the 2-horse Too Bossy, who won on turf at Santa Anita. I don't know if those fractions were right, but she's set an anemic pace if those fractions are correct. And
I wouldn't trust those fractions at that distance. No.
Yeah. So I don't know. But she got a clear lead in that race. She did show some sub 22 speed at Santa Anita on dirt going 6 furlongs. So she does have some legit early speed, but she's going to be battling for the top spot, battling with the favorites. And we mentioned the other speed in here, Manamrelli, Princess Adelie, and American Lily. Too Bossy. I'm not going to knock her or anything like that, but I just like others in here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, she's the least likely winner just because she wants the lead and she's down on the inside, and it's just hard to see her wiring this field, right?
Yeah.
If she does, then congratulations for anyone that plays her. I just don't see it. I'd be more interested in her in a little weaker field next time if she runs last in here when she gets tired. That's kind of the way I look at her.
Yep, I agree. And she is the biggest price on the board. So people who are in 150th, they're going to just click Too Bossy's number and hope and pray for the best. But day 2 leaderboard. Why don't you take this, Chris? Paul Sherman in the lead.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. So why don't you start off? Because I don't have it up here so where I can read it. Sorry about that.
Right.
I'll have it here in a second.
All right.
But yeah, Paul Sherman, I have to admit he's a friend of mine. So I always kind of cheer for him.
Yes.
Very, very sharp player.
Yep.
And, he's the kind that might keep that, that day money in mind when he makes his plays in these last few races. He probably wants to hold on to that first place position. But John Vale not too far behind. This is not quite as tight as the overall leaderboard, but it's pretty tight like you'd expect after day one. Let's see. We've got a $9 spread between Paul and John, and then Jim Videtic, a couple dollars back. Nick Solis, Greg Kingma, Justin Wunderler, and Anthony Mastropietro. I love that name. Down to 8th.
And we're in the gate here, Chris.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's turn our attention to the race, see what happens.
American Lily's even money. Amanarelli's 5-2, and they're off. And not the worst start in the world. And looks like Princess Adelie and the favorite American Lily break first and second with Manarelli up the inside.
And Greg Kingma took American Lily and David Wolf didn't. So if the heavy favorite does win, then Greg will go into first place. So we'll see what happens. Very interesting.
Manarelli got the lead. Fourth place, Michael Somich used the 5 Lasting Love, who I liked a bit. And then fifth and sixth, Anthony and Jim used the 8-horse Ute Your Honor as they're on the turn. And Princess Adelie, pretty fast fractions, 21 4/5. And looks like the favorite's ranging up pretty wide. Yeah.
And here comes Bowl of Cherries making a bold move on the outside. Let's see. The favorite's moving up. Greg King was probably screaming his lungs out. Here comes Bowl of Cherries. But it doesn't look like it's going to get there. It's going to be the favorite, it looks like.
Yeah, 7s and 3s as they come down to the finish line. And the 7 is going to get there. 7 and 3.
And it'll be interesting to see the prices because David Wolf was on the 3, Greg Kingma on the 7.
It's going to be really difficult. I'm just looking at 6-5 on American Lily. Princess Adelie was 8-1. I can tell you that American Lily's going to pay $440 to win. But that's all I can. After that, I can't tell you.
So you would expect to see a better place price on the 3. So I think David Wolf is going to hang on to that lead by a little bit. I think he's going to hang on to that lead.
Yeah. Princess Adelie, what, $5 to place?
It's hard to tell in a small field when the favorite wins, right? I'd have to look at the place pools because probably a lot of place money on the favorite. That's going to cut the price on a small field to begin with. We only had 7 horses. So I don't think you'll get $5 on, but you'll get more on the 3 than you're going to on the 7. So
I'm just looking at it, 17,795, 33% of the place pool on the 7, and then $6,004 on the 3 to place 11%. So you definitely it should be a decent. I think you'll get 5. From experience, I think we'll get there, but we'll find out here as there's a look at American Lily going from turf to dirt. Peter Miller, the trainer with Juan Hernandez aboard this daughter of Bayern.
And we are we're really been chalking out here.
I know.
I mean, the last race, technically the chalk didn't win. I think the one we all thought was the most likely winner won. Just that, they overbet the.
They're the prices.
Okay, so we go. Oh, you're right. Got the 580. So
580. So $440 and $3. So $740 versus $580.
Yeah. So David Wolf's going to hang on to that lead, not by a lot, but he's going to hang on.
Uh-huh.
And and George Bosch.
So David Wolf's got $256.50. Greg Kigma is in second with $253.80. George Bosch is a clear third at $244.40. And Michael Somich is in fourth, $235.80. And Alexa Zepp in fifth at $234.70. But just like we going into that eighth race, David Wolf can't ignore the favorite. He's going to have to pick whoever he really likes in a wide open ninth race. So even though it's a little spread out, from second to third and third to fourth, it's not inconceivable that we could have someone from off the pace win this contest in this ninth race.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's going to be half a dozen horses that are going to be in the 10-1 or higher range that all have a chance. And you could go quite a ways down that leaderboard. Even if you're down at in the $210 at, like an 18th place, you hit a cap horse and you can win the contest if you're the highest person to have that one. So David Wolf's going to be sweating it out for sure, all the leaders. And it's going to be interesting, though, because what's not cool about, this is that you've got that little bit of a game within a game between those top few players. In that case, Greg Kingma took the shot with the favorite. David Wolf, surprisingly, I thought it might be the opposite where David Wolf would try to block him, but he actually, picked another horse and it worked out pretty well for both of them. But you could see the same sort of dynamic again in this last race where, whoever comes out on top here, obviously, is the big winner. So that you could get you're not going to have an even money shot this time, but
no,
you could have the favorite and, win $200,000.
And I'm looking at the wheel pays and it looks like the 5 Ruby Nell, the firster from the Mandela barn, the daughter of Bolt Doro, cost 7 figures, who's been training lights out apparently, is going to be the favorite when it's all said and done. And we'll talk about her after the break. So we got one more race in the contest, 22 minutes to race number 9. We're going to take a quick timeout, and then after that, we're going to set the scene, go over everyone in this ninth and final. And after the ninth race, someone's going to come home with $183,600. So stay tuned. The final race in the Flo-Cal Faceoff coming up after a few minutes after this timeout. Got about 8 minutes to the ninth and final from Santa Anita, the final race in the two-day online contest on HorseTourneys.com, the Flo-Cal Faceoff. It's the first leg of the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. If you want to participate in legs 2 or 3, leg 2 is the Players Championship, $350,000 guaranteed on April 7th and 8th. And qualifiers for that contest will start to go up on HorseTourneys.com this coming weekend. And then leg number 3 is a Spa and Surf Showdown in August. Of course, that's Del Mar and Saratoga. Dates will come available as we get closer to the summertime. Now, if you win this contest, and we only got one race to go, you are eligible for a $2 million bonus if you sweep all 3 legs of the Tourney Triple. And then if you win 2 of the 3 legs, you still would get $1 million. So whoever wins this contest, I'm guarantee you they're going to probably want to play in legs 2 and 3, and they'll have the money to do it because first place in today's contest, $183,600. Second, $73,440. The top 28 get paid. There's day money as well, $12,750 for each day 1 and day 2 winner. But we're really concentrating on the end of this contest. And we got ourselves a pretty good race, Chris, this 9th race, where we got a maiden race going 6.5 furlongs on the turf.
Yeah, we have this tight leaderboard, and we've got a menu of prices in about every range possible on the board. So I think everybody's going to have a horse that they can play that's, in the top 30 probably that could possibly win it if their horse comes in. So makes it really exciting. Plus the top two are so close that there's a good chance that they'll be on the favorites, or at least who they think is the most likely winner, whether it's a favorite or not. So there's a little bit of the game theory coming in there. If David Wolf thinks the favorite's the most likely winner, and so does, or say Greg Kingma does he go with that and be concerned that David Wolf might block him, or so does he have to go a little farther down his list of choices? And even not too much farther down, they've got some choices to make about who they play, on that 6 to 10 to 1 range, and then there's plenty of horses 10 to 20 or 20 or higher. So very interesting. And we'll probably see certain numbers pop up near the top, and then other numbers, in the 5 through 10, and other numbers through 10 through 15 on that leaderboard when it gets refreshed. A lot of strategy comes into this last pick, not just handicapping.
Yeah, well, it looks like we do have a favorite in the 5, Ruby Nell, a Richard Mandela trainee. Mandela usually doesn't crank his horses too much first time out, doesn't have the great first time starter stats, but this daughter of Boldoro cost 7 figures. She's a half to a couple other multiple turf winners. She's been allegedly been training fantastic, and she looks like she's going to be the significant favorite in this race. And she is currently 8 to 5.
Yeah, well, on the plus side, Mandela actually does pretty good in these turf sprints, first-time starter. So his numbers aren't that bad. On this 1.2 million, some fast works, including gate works. Those are all the positives. The things that I'm a little bit concerned about are, first of all, you don't spend $1 million for a turf sprinter, so it's hard to believe that they're going to have this horse super cranked up, although they have been working it hard. The other thing is 6 gate work seems really excessive to me. I don't know why you would work a horse 6 times from the gate. You don't see that very often. To me, that's kind of a negative. It means there's issues with this horse out of the gate. So, if I were in a contest, like I'm David or Greg, would I want to put my $180,000 chance on a horse that's never ran before, especially one that clearly it wasn't the kind of race that they bought a horse to win? So, I would definitely be looking elsewhere. But if they really like it and they're really into first-time starters, or they have clocker reports to say the horse can't lose, then I wouldn't be shocked to see that horse up there. But, it's kind of hard to put all your eggs in the first-time starter basket in a race like this, for me anyway.
Second choice is the 11 Playlist, who's gone off as the beaten favorite, beaten favorite in her 2 career starts, one time at Saratoga, the other at Del Mar. Last time out, had a little bit of traffic in the stretch and got going a little too late. She's allegedly training forwardly for trainer Wesley Ward, and she's a bigger price than I thought she'd be at 7 to 2. But she's the strong second choice in the wagering.
Yeah, she would be a little more of a logical choice for those people wanting the winner in here. But I'll say one thing about Wesley Ward. He hasn't been cranked up first time out usually. So he's not the kind of trainer they improve a lot first to second time out or second to third time out. So you kind of know what you've got right from the first race. So, I think there's others in here. She's not, and the past races aren't that fast. So, I think others might have more upside and have better prices. I wouldn't be shocked to see some of the leaders maybe go that direction. I wouldn't go in that direction.
We do have a Euro import, the 10 Marina's Tina, coming in from Ireland, ran in a auction maiden race. I looked up how the horses came out of that race, and not the best stat in the world. 0 for 11, and no one hit the board next time out. So I don't know how strong of a race that was, but in her defense, she passed a lot of horses allegedly from the early part of the race to the end. So she's got that going for her. Phil D'Amato pretty good with the first time in the United States. So hit and miss for me with Marina's Tina. What did you think?
Well, there was a 17-horse field and only got beaten 3/4 of a length. So, yeah, that was a pretty good debut, and they probably paid some money for that horse. I'm just a little worried about Euros getting out of the gate. I didn't get a chance to watch the gate work for this horse, but I'm always leery of those, getting out of the gate in these turf sprints. So, again, a short price, a little bit nervous about playing that one. But I wouldn't be shocked. Some people are on that one.
A lot of first-time starters in here. One I thought might be interesting at a price, a 3-horse Not Now for John Sadler, a daughter of More Than Ready. The dam was pretty good on the turf, 5 for 9 lifetime, over $240,000 of winnings on the turf. She's a half to a turf winner as well. Not Now, a big price at 11-1, but there's a lot of first-time starters in here.
Yeah, I would, that one makes some sense. The 1-horse Irish Patsy, if can get away from on the rail, might be dangerous. The horse I really like is the 4-horse AG Bullet or Silver Bullet. Has 1 start on the dirt, a fast work since, has some turf breeding. I usually like horses second time out. This one could really improve. And, at 11 or at 10-1, that's the horse I would go with as Silver Bullet, the 4 probably.
As they're loading up here for this 9th and final, our final race, and there's a look at the day 2 leaderboard. Paul Sherman still has the lead, but we're really excited here for the final race of the Flo-Cal Faceoff. Will David Wolf hold on, or will it be somebody else? This maiden race, you got a big favorite at 9-5, or significant favorite. Ruby Nell, second choice playlist at 5-2. And it looks like they're just about ready. Got one more left to load, it looks like, as you can see the assistant starter in front of the gate, opening the front of the gate for the 11 playlist. But this is an exciting end of the contest. Some late money coming in on AG Bullet at 6-1, and they're off. And look, good start for AG Bullet, looks like.
Yeah, AG Bullet got off to a good start. And David Wolf went with Ruby Nell, the favorite. He went, and Greg Kingman went with sort of the logical horse with some starts and playlists. So no surprises there. But Silver Bullet, 3 or 4 people have that horse. That late odds drop might be a really significant thing. That last second odds drop might come into play if AG Bullet does hold on, or Silver Bullet, I think I'll go with. If he wins, that late odds drop might turn out to be a $180,000 odds drop for somebody, because they were probably counting on that 10-1. Turn for home, Silver Bullet is looking like it's ready. He just carved through a few vampires and werewolves here, and he's flying home late. Silver Bullet, my pick, and the horse I bet is going to win, but 6-1 is probably not going to be enough.
Here comes the favorite on the outside for second, too.
Yes, that I think David Wolf may have hung on, even though he didn't have the winner. And it was all because of the infamous late odds drop, all that late money. It wasn't all from me, I promise. Brought that horse down from 10-1 to 6-1. And that is probably going to based on the will pays, that horse should have been 10-1. So major late money really comes into play in the contest. That's a little too bad for those who played Silver Bullet. That was a good pick. I thought that horse showed a lot of promise in its debut, and it came through. But I think David Wolf can breathe a sigh of relief. I think even if 5 hadn't run second, he was probably going to hang on and win, despite the easy win for Silver Bullet, who looked like the winner from the first step out of the gate and never really got threatened throughout the race.
Yeah, I'm looking at my my online wagering platform, and AG Bullet's going to pay $14.80 to win. Now you get a good place price because probably it's more like the 10-1 type of place price as opposed to a 6-1. But at the same time, the leader, Ruby Nell, was chosen by David Wolf, who will get, probably in a big field like this, might even get $4. And so, 16.
A lot happening there, though. Just for one thing, I want to congratulate the players. I think the way they played it, I wouldn't argue with any of the picks I see in that, the top, at least the top 6 on the leaderboard. I'm not sure what. I guess Joe Videtic was just trying to move up a couple spots, but those top 6 players all played the right horses. They, 4, 5, and 6 just kind of got, hurt by that. And, there's no way you can anticipate that drop. Even if you're paying attention to wheel pays and stuff, that horse was supposed to go off at 10-1 or better. So, and when I bet the horse, I thought I was going to get 10-1 or better. So they played it right. They just were a little unlucky. So I feel a little bit for them. I can feel their pain a little bit because it cost me some money as well, but not nearly as much as it did those folks. So they played it the right way. It's just too bad we get those late odds drops sometimes, and it seems like those horses always win. They always break on top and win. But, really well-played contest, and congratulations to David Wolf, who's going to be our winner.
Yep, and we'll $260.70 for David Wolf, holding on over Michael Somich, who got second at $257.40. Alexa Zepp third, $256.30. Greg Kingma fourth, $253.80. And rounding out our top 5, Anthony Mastro Pietro at $252.40 to win. So $183,600 overall goes to David Wolf. Michael gets $73,440. Third, Alexa Zepp, $36,720. Fourth, Greg Kigma, $27,540. Fifth, $22,950 for Anthony, and it goes all the way down to 28th. And that's looks like Tim Haas, who by a dime knocks out Justin from the money, at least for the overall money. But it is David Wolf, the winner. Looks like in the Flo-Cal Faceoff.
Yeah, a $3 difference. So even if the odds had just dropped down, from 10-1 to 7 or 8-1, he wins. Mike Somich wins, and Alexis Zeff probably is second. I mean, just tough way. There's so many ways to lose in this game, and they made a great play. They made the right play, and then the odds changed on him right when the gate opened. So I really feel for Mike. He's a good player. Alexa, really, those are consistently good, contest players. But congratulations to David Wolf. He played it well too. If he hadn't played Ruby Nell, what did he get to place on that? It was
he got a good place price, didn't?
Well, I'm just trying to see. He probably wouldn't have won without it. What was his place price?
I got it here just a second. $420.
Yeah. So if he had not, chalked out with that pick, he would have lost, even with the favorable odds change. So a lot happening in that last race. That's what happens when you have a tight leaderboard. You can be in a position to win. You can make the right pick, and you can still lose with a late odds drop. Or you can, go, since David Wolf had that, leads, it's such a valuable thing to be in the lead at the start. He could go with the chalk and, use it to block and maybe pick up a few points even in the play slot, just enough to hold off Michael Somich and Alexa Zepp. But they all three get a good payday, and they all three really played the contest well, including that last race. And
just a reminder, even though David didn't have the winner in the last couple of races, he did come in second in both of the last couple of races.
That's right.
Princess Adelaide and Ruby Nell, and got 580 and 420. So picked up a valuable $10 at the end and was able to win by just a little bit. But David Wolf is the winner of the Flo-Cal Faceoff. So that's going to do it. Our next.
Well, wait, Bill. We
got day money as well. Yeah, so let's take a look at that. And who is that? Is that Anthony? I am just taking a look at that. Anthony is your winner of the day money. He had the winner of that last race at 6-1, and day money is not too shabby. $12,750 for the day 2 winner. So a 5-figure payout for Anthony just for besting everyone else in day number 2.
Anthony Mastro Pietro. I want to say that name again. I love his last name. Congratulations. And Paul Sherman. Paul, congratulations. You got nosed out, but he gets the second place money there.
Yes, so well done to everyone. Our next time you'll see us on YouTube will be our leg number 2 of the Tourney Triple. April 7th and 8th, the Players Championship, $350,000 guaranteed. Qualifiers on HorseTourneys.com start next weekend. So look for those if you want to play and get in cheap for the Players Championship instead of paying the full entry fee. And then leg number 3 will be in August, the Spa and Surf Showdown, which is Del Mar and Saratoga. And David Wolf now has a chance to win $1 million if he's able to take down either the Players Championship or the Spa and Surf Showdown. And if somehow he wins all 3, besides being filthy rich from getting first in all those contests, he would get a $2 million bonus for sweeping the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. Chris, we had a lot of fun, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And those bonuses are fun. I was actually lucky enough a couple times to be eligible for $1 million bonus at the NHC. And it does make it a little more fun, a little more pressure, a little more exciting. Yeah, it can mess with your head a little. I'm actually eligible again this year for $1 million bonus if I could win the NHC.
That's right. You won that Hawthorne contest.
At Hawthorne, that's right. So it is fun, and it will be really cool if going into the final few races, David's in a position to maybe win in the next one, win that $1 million bonus. That'll be really exciting. So we'll following his progress, next time we cover the second leg.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us. So congratulations to David Wolf. We want to thank behind the scenes Ryan and Matt for guiding us through this process, getting us on the air and having everything look good. And we'll be back in early April. So for Chris Larmey, my name is Bill Downes. Good night. We'll see you in early April for the Players Championship.